Okay, John, why don't you share with us one of your bigger success stories?
Well, there's two that I'll share with you. Number one, from a coaching perspective, early on in my career, I realized how much I could make a difference. I worked with a client that was really just almost bankrupt, had just moved out of his office and into his garage. And it's a good friend of mine. I really cared a lot about him. I still do, obviously. He was very concerned about whether his business was going to survive. He got just pummeled in the recession. He was tied in with the residential real estate industry. And, literally after working together for 10 months, we had increased his revenues by almost 400%. He was to the point where he was going to go BK, and then he had a viable business, moved back into an office, hired some employees, and now he's off running his business more effectively. So that's probably my most successful coaching activity. And I've done a lot of neat things like that, but that one is sort of near and dear to my heart. From a business on the show standpoint, we had a guest early on, and this is one of the things that really cemented why I believe this is such a valuable component. Is I had a young lady on the show, and her and her husband ran a small business, and she was supporting him. He was kind of the tactician, technical expert in the business, and she was supporting him. And as we went through the 4 stages of learning process, we identified for her, she connected with how that works, and she identified that marketing was the number one thing that she needed to work on. And so we talked about some different things that would allow her to understand marketing and to create some marketing tasks for herself, some action items where she could leave the show and say, I'm going to go do these 3 things. And so 2 weeks later, I get a call from her husband, who's a good friend of mine, and they're still very good friends of mine. And he says, that show was amazing. She's already done things in marketing. She created a Facebook page. She did this, she did that, she did all these things. He says, I've been trying to get her to do that for a couple of years now, and it's not happening. And you were able to make that happen in one 30-minute show. So I feel really, really blessed that we were able to have that kind of an impact in just a 30-minute activity.
Bye.